Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, if you've been paying attention to the latest buzz around the AFC North, you already know that things are heating up. The Cleveland Browns, a team that's been making waves in recent seasons, especially with their strong defense and a solid running game, are now at the center of some very interesting quarterback discussions. And no, I'm not talking just about Joe Flacco, who's been the starter for Cleveland as we head into Week 3 of the 2025 NFL season. Flacco, as most of you know, is a seasoned veteran with a wealth of experience, and he's been doing a commendable job so far. But the big question on everyone's mind is, what's next for the Browns at the quarterback position? Because let's be honest, the NFL is a league that's constantly changing, and teams are always looking for that next piece to push them over the edge. Behind Flacco, the Browns have made it clear that Dillon Gabriel is their primary backup. Gabriel, a young and talented quarterback, showed flashes of potential last season, and the Browns seem to see him as their future. But here's where things get really interesting. When we talk about the future, about long-term plans, one name has been floating around in NFL circles: Shedeur Sanders. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar, Shedeur Sanders is a standout quarterback who gained national attention during his college days at Colorado. His arm talent, his ability to make plays under pressure, and his football IQ have made him one of the most intriguing prospects in this year's draft class. But right now, it looks like the Browns aren't planning to throw him into the fire during his rookie season. Instead, they seem to be taking a cautious approach, letting him develop behind the scenes, maybe learn a little more, and wait for the right moment. That being said, in the NFL, nothing is ever set in stone. If a team gets an offer that's too good to refuse, especially for a young quarterback with high upside like Sanders, you better believe the Browns would consider it. And that's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Because, according to some reports and NFL insiders, there's a real possibility that Cleveland could entertain trade offers for Sanders if the right opportunity arises. Now, I know what you're thinking: trading Shedeur Sanders within the division. That sounds almost unthinkable, right? But the NFL is a league where surprises happen every season, and sometimes, teams are willing to part ways with a player if it means gaining a better shot at contention or acquiring draft capital that can help them build a stronger roster. So, what's this big trade idea that's been floating around? Well, it comes from Max Dibble of Heavy Sports, and he's floated a pretty shocking scenario that's been piquing the interest of many NFL fans, especially Browns supporters. Dibble suggests that if Cleveland were to get an enticing trade offer, they might consider sending Sanders to the Cincinnati Bengals, a division rival. Yes, you heard that right, within the AFC North. Now, the Bengals, a team that's been competitive for the past few seasons, is looking for some extra quarterback depth. With Joe Burrow's health being a concern in recent years, the Bengals are reportedly exploring options to bring in another quarterback, especially if they could get someone with Sanders' potential. The idea is that Cincinnati could look to acquire Sanders, who has shown flashes of brilliance and has the tools to develop into a star. Jake Browning has been their starting quarterback for now, but he's more of a stopgap than a long-term solution. If Sanders were to go there, he'd have a real shot at proving his worth, and Cincinnati might see him as a future franchise quarterback. Of course, Dibble points out that trading Sanders within the division would be a risky move for Cleveland, because if Sanders goes to Cincinnati and begins to develop into a star, the Browns would be left to deal with that headache for years to come. The division rival gaining a potential franchise quarterback, that's a nightmare scenario for Cleveland fans. But let's step back a bit and analyze what this means for the Browns right now. Cleveland is in a unique position. They have Flacco, who's experienced and steady, but not necessarily a long-term answer. Gabriel, as the backup, is promising, but still unproven at this level. And Sanders, the young prospect, is still in development, but with enormous upside. The Browns management has to ask themselves, are we building for the future, or are we trying to win now? Because if they believe Sanders can develop into a star, they might hold on to him and see if he can take that leap next season or the one after. But if they're not sold on his long-term potential, or if a lucrative offer comes along, they might consider trading him to accelerate their rebuild or address other needs. And it's worth mentioning that the NFL landscape has seen similar situations before. Teams sometimes trade young quarterbacks for draft picks or other assets, especially if they're not yet ready to compete, or if they see a better opportunity elsewhere. The Browns, with their recent history of building through the draft and making strategic moves, could very well consider such a scenario if it benefits their long-term plans. Now, what about Sanders himself? Well, he's only in his rookie season, but his talent has been evident. The question is, will he stay patient and wait for his shot, or will he push for a move if the opportunity presents itself? Remember, he's a young quarterback with a lot of potential, and getting valuable playing time is crucial for his development. If he feels like Cleveland isn't giving him that shot, a trade could be on the table, especially if a division rival comes knocking with an enticing offer. Looking ahead, the Browns will face some difficult decisions at the quarterback position. Do they stick with Flacco for a little longer and see how Gabriel continues to develop? Or do they consider the possibility of trading Sanders if the right offer appears? It all depends on how they evaluate Sanders' growth, their confidence in Flacco, and what kind of trade packages they might receive. Remember, this isn't just about today, it's about setting up the team for sustained success in the coming years. Now, I want to take a moment here to emphasize how important it is to keep an eye on Sanders' development. He's a name that's going to be buzzing around NFL circles for a while, especially if he starts to show the kind of promise that made him a top prospect coming out of college. The Browns are in a delicate spot. They want to build a winning team, but they also have to think about their future quarterback stability. And if that future comes in the form of trading Sanders, within or outside the division, it would be a major story that could reshape the AFC North landscape. And as fans, we're all eager to see how this unfolds. Will Sanders stay patient and develop behind Flacco? Will the Browns keep him as a future piece, or will they cash in on his potential early? The next few weeks and months could be decisive. The NFL trade deadline is always filled with surprises, and to see the Browns involved in this kind of high-stakes game adds another layer of excitement for all of us loyal supporters. Cleveland has been building a strong roster, especially on defense with stars like Myles Garrett, and their offense is starting to find its rhythm. But the quarterback position remains the key puzzle piece, and whatever happens with Sanders could very well determine their trajectory toward a Super Bowl run or a rebuilding phase. So, Browns fans, what do you think about all this? Do you believe Sanders has a future in Cleveland, or do you think a trade might be necessary if the right offer comes through? Would you be upset if he was traded within the division? Or do you see this as a smart move for the team's long-term success? Your opinions matter so much to us, and we want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. This is a story that's still developing, and I'll be keeping a close eye on it, bringing you updates as they happen. The Browns are at a crossroads, and whatever decision they make could have ripple effects across the AFC North and beyond. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Cleveland Browns. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Cleveland Browns news. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video with your fellow fans. Let's keep our passion alive and continue to support this incredible team. Whether it's a trade, a big game, or some exciting development in the roster, we're here to bring you the inside scoop. Thanks for watching, Browns fans, and as always, go Browns!